Hey everyone, welcome back to Papa's Workshop. I have an interesting project today. I am carving on foam these oversized signs. They're 40 inches long. They're longer than my CNC machines, which means I'm going to be tiling this project. Now I'm using the VCarve Pro to be able to set up this tiling operation, and I'm going to show you step by step on how to carve these great big large signs that are 40 inches by 12 inches. Tiling a project like this actually is not that difficult, and you can do this on just about any machine that you have. And the results, I think, speak for themselves. This is absolutely fantastic. Too often, I think people in different videos make it seem so complicated. It's not complicated at all. Over on the CNC machine, I'm going to be carving this where it slides through on the Y-axis. Now I took these dowel rods out. I'm not going to be using those, so they've all been removed, and I put in a temporary fence. Now this fence is attached just simply with my glue and tape method, and that's going to allow me to move this sign right along this, so that gives me a perfect reference. My XY0 is going to be right here at the bottom left hand corner. Now for this first one, I'm going to start right here. I'll secure this with my glue and tape method, do the carving, and then we're going to slide it down 21 inches, and I have a little small mark right here. That's going to be that point, and it'll slide down to right there, and I'll secure it again with my glue and my tape and carve the second tile. Now, of course, I'm going to be using a clearing bit and a detail bit to be able to get all of this done. The roughing bit that I'm going to be using to be able to clear out the bulk of the material is this bit right here. It's actually a surfacing bit. Now this is 1 1/8 inches in diameter. It's a 3 flute, and this is what I use to actually surface the different projects or surface the wasteboard itself. But this will be a perfect clearing bit to be able to remove the bulk of the material. And then for the finishing pass, I'm just going to use a 1/4 inch spiral bit. Now, unfortunately, this is a downcut bit. And you can see how this looks like it goes down as it spins. I would prefer to be using an upcut bit to get these chips up and out of the way. Unfortunately, I don't have one. So this is going to have to do. At my desk, I want to show you exactly how I set up this program to be able to carve all of these signs using the tiling process. As I mentioned, I have 8 different signs to be able to carve. So what I did is actually set each one of these up on its own layer. So if I look at this, the first one is going to be called Proactive, and then number 2 will be this one, and number 3 will be this one, and I'll continue on. I have 8 total signs that I'm going to be doing. What I'm going to work on is this one right here. And what I want to be able to do, since I have to tile this through on the Y-axis, I need to rotate this sign. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here to the job type, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to set this up at 12 inches by the 40 inches, and that rotates my work area. And I also want to have this at the bottom left hand corner, and that's a very important factor when you're tiling the project. And then I'll close this out. The next thing I need to do is take the artwork itself and rotate it. So I'll come right over here to the rotate selected objects, and I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. And I'll apply that. And that takes care of it. Now I want to double check just to make sure that it's in the center of the material. So I'll click on this and highlight that one. And yes, that's exactly in the center. So that takes care of the design itself. So the next thing I want to do is come over and we'll set up the toolpaths. The toolpaths, actually just 2 of them. I need to create a pocket and carve away all this material, and the letters themselves will stand up proud. So I'm going to use a pocketing toolpath to be able to do this job. And I'm going to use a surfacing bit that I showed you earlier. It's 1 1/8 inch, and then I'm going to finish up with a 1/4 inch end mill. As far as the passes, I'm only going to be going down a 1/4 inch. We're starting at the surface. We're carving down a 1/4 inch. I can do that in one pass since we're doing this in this lightweight foam. So we have the bit selected. So I'm going to come down, edit the passes, and I'm going to select one pass to be able to carve this. So that will take care of that. So now I have the one pass. So the rest of this actually is just fine. I'm going to come down and name this now. And I'm going to just change and identify this as Habit 2. And this is just a pocket. And that will take care of it, and I'll calculate the toolpath. So now you can see the actual toolpath that's going to take place. This large one right here is that 1 1/8 inch surfacing bit that's going to come through and carve out the majority of this area, and then the 1/4 inch bit will come in to all these smaller areas and be able to carve that out. So if I reset this and preview all of the different toolpaths, you can see exactly how that's going to work. And if I just want to show you this one, I'm going to reset it and carve out that, and you can see how it's going to clean up the corners and then go around each of these different letters. And that's exactly what I want to have happen. If I want to be able to do this one, let's reset, preview the selected toolpath right here on the clearing bit, and you can see how it's going to take out the majority of the material. So that's exactly what I want to have happen. But this does not create the tiling operation yet. So the next step, let's close this out. We have our toolpath saved. Now I want to be able to actually set this up with the tiling process. And I'm going to switch this over to the 2D view. We're going to turn off the toolpaths for right now. Oops. There we go. And I want to come right up here to this icon. We're going to select this icon, and we're going to come over here, and this tiling allows me to divide this board into sections. And I want to select the tiling toolpaths, and I want to be able to set this up where it's running through on the y-axis, as I showed you on the machine. And the tile height, this one is going to work really well at 21 inches. And I do want to have an overlap of about 0.25 of an inch. And then we'll update the tile. And now you see tile 1, where it identifies right here at tile 1. And I can zoom in real close. This is my 21 inch line. And then this other lighter area shows the 1/4 inch of my overlap. And that's going to give a nice clean break between tile 1 and tile 2. And then I'll come over here and show you tile 2. I'll select that, and you can see tile 2, and you can see where it will go ahead and carve the next section. So if I select tile 1, reset the preview, and then I want to show the selected toolpath, and you can see how that 1/4 inch bit is going to carve all the way around these different letters. If I click on the clearance toolpath and preview that, you'll see how it will clear out the remaining portion. And then if I select tile 2, and we'll preview, you can see how that clears out the bulk of it with the clearance toolpath. And then we'll add in the other toolpath for the detail, and you can see how that will carve it. So that is going to look really, really good. So at this point, with both of these done, now all we need to do is save these toolpaths, and we'll be ready to carve them out. When we save the toolpaths, we need to click on this one right here, Visible Toolpath to Multiple Files. So we'll click on that, and this is checked Output Tiled Toolpaths. And that's very important to be able to have that done. And we need to make sure that both of these are selected, and that gives me my clearance toolpath, and that gives me my detailed path, and that is going to be as the output tiled toolpath. So this is very important to be able to have it set up this way. And then from there, we'll save this toolpath. I have my G-code that's set in here from my post processor, so I will save this. And I'm going to save this over in to my thumb drive in the Leader in Me folder, and I will set this up as the Habit 2. And that's a Habit 2, it's the pocket clear and the detail. So we'll save that. And now I want to look at that from the G-code file. If I open up my thumb drive with this folder, so here I have the clearance pass and my detail pass for the T1, and the same thing for the T2 section. This is going to be for the clearing and my detail passes. So from here, we can go over to the machine and get this first one carved. Now I have my tape down on the wasteboard exactly where it needs to be because I'm using the grid line, and then I can place it over here. So when I put the glue down, this will flip over and I'll be able to align it exactly in place on my XY0 position. So let me add the glue now. And it just takes a thin bead. That's all that's necessary. I'll spray the accelerator. And we'll flip this over and put it in place. And that is secure. It's not going to go anywhere, and I'll be able to do the tile 1. On my machine, when I zero it, the machine comes right over to this point. When I'm using a normal project, I'll move over the 2 inches and up 2 inches to this location right here for my XY0 position. But in this case, I'm moving it over to this location so that I can actually secure this board onto my wasteboard. So this is going to be my XY0 position. So at this point it shows that it's at the X4, but I'm going to set that to the 0. So that is now 0 and 0. The only thing that's left is to set the Z. Now the probe is complete, so I'll click OK, and you can see that I've moved it over 2 inches and 2 inches to actually do the probing. So I'm just going to move that back now. And this is not a requirement because the machine knows exactly where it is, but it's just something that I like to do. The next step is we need to open up the G-code. So I need to go over to my thumb drive. And that's the Leader in Me. The software itself identifies T1 and T2 as the different tiles. It also labels it 1 and 2 for the clearing and the detail. In my particular situation, I like doing the detail pass first. And you can see exactly how that's going to be carving. If I wanted to show you the other one right now, I'll show you the other one. This is my T1. This is my clearance. We'll open that one up, and you can see how it looks totally different. So you can actually verify to make sure that you have the correct one. So this is the detail. That's the one that I want. This is the T1. It's my habit number 2. So that is what I want to be able to use. So we're going to now turn the machine on and run this job. Running the detail pass first offers several advantages. One, it provides support to be able to get those fine details next to those letters. Now this is not so important using the foam, but if you're doing other materials with a very detailed process, that can definitely give you an advantage. Another advantage is when you come back to Z, the second bit, you actually have the ability to Z that bit in the exact same location as you did the first bit, and that offers a huge advantage. All too often I see people complaining that when they're doing this type of carving and creating a pocket using 2 bits, that the level is not consistent. They'll have 2 different depths. Well, often the reason for that is the placement of the actual location to Z those 2 bits. If you use the exact same location, you're going to get the exact same results, a good flat pocket. I've changed the bit and now have the surfacing bit in position. I also have this router moved over to the exact same position where I Z'd that detail, that 1/4 inch bit. That's one of the reasons I like doing the detail pass first, because this material is still in place. When I Z this bit to this point, it'll be the exact same point as when I did it the first time. If I had reversed that order, then this material would be gone. So that's one good reason to be able to do your detail pass first. That material is still intact. So I'm going to Z this now, load up the G-code file for the roughing pass, and we'll get this all cut out. I'm back now at my XY0 position. We just load the file in and we'll hit run job. When this second toolpath started, I immediately noticed a problem. This bit did not go down to full depth. It did not go to that 0.25, and there was a very simple explanation. You notice that did not go down the 1/4 inch. That's because I failed to do that in the file itself. So this will take longer, but I'm not going to stop it at this point, but that's certainly an error that I want to correct when I move over to the next sign. One of the things that oftentimes happens when I'm doing these videos, I'm concentrating so hard on doing the video that I forget about the actual process. And in setting up the toolpath, I forgot to change that surfacing bit from those multiple passes down to just one. Because this bit easily could do this clearing pass in one pass with the full depth of a 1/4 inch. So that's something I'm going to be correcting on the next phase. Now, one of the things that I did is I did increase this feed rate to the 200%. So it's actually going to be cutting it faster than what it was originally set, but certainly not as fast as I was hoping for to be able to do this in the one pass. This is almost finished now, and it is looking great. So it's coming back now to the XY0 position, and it's time to move this to tile number 2. I often get a lot of comments about the holding power of the glue and the tape method. I've also seen a lot of videos where people really overdo the amount of glue and the tape that is used. Here I'm using simply 2 pieces of tape to hold this down, and you can see for yourself just how well this holds. The glue and tape method also eliminates all clamps, which can potentially get in the way of that router, and I hear stories all the time about hitting the clamps. Yeah, move this down. This is my 21-inch mark. right on here. So that is going to give me my XY0 position. It's all secured now with the glue and the tape. So now it's time to set up. And yes, I want to do the detailed pass first. This location right here is the 0 point. You can see exactly where my line is and my little cut mark in the foam. So that's 2 inches over and 2 inches up on the y-axis. Now the probe is being done in exactly the same location. Now like I said, you don't have to bring it back to the XY0 position because the machine knows exactly where it is and it'll compensate and run just fine. But this is a habit that I got into a long time ago and I don't think I'm going to change. So at this point, it's time to load the file and run job. When you hit start and the run job begins, you're going to see immediately just how well this alignment is taking place. It's precisely lined up and it's going down to the exact same depth. That is exactly what you want, and that is one of the things that I really like about the tiling jobs and this particular setup. I haven't talked much about using this board on the y-axis, but that provides the correct alignment, and it also makes sure that the workpiece itself stays completely square. And don't forget, it's held in place with the glue and the tape method also. There's been a lot of comments on my little small portable desk that I can move around the shop. And this has proven to be an ideal desk. This holds the laptop with my thumb drive and my mouse perfectly. This gives me a fantastic area to be able to put products that I'm working with right there in easy reach. And I absolutely love this little computer stand that I made. This has been the ideal tool to be able to add to the shop. So for all of those out there who thought this was too small and useless, well, for my shop, quite the opposite. It has proven to be the perfect size. The detail pass is finished. I ran the clearance pass, and now the whole project is completely done. It's all finished, and it's time to be able to remove it. So we're just going to do the same thing as we did before. Just slowly lift this up. You have to be careful because on this foam there were some pre-cut slots. You don't want to break it. And you can see how well this holds down. And there we go. So that looks absolutely fantastic. 1 down, 7 to go. Tiling a project like this actually is not that difficult, and you can do this on just about any machine that you have. And the results, I think, speak for themselves. This is absolutely fantastic. Now, I know one of the first questions I'm going to get is, can you do this on a smaller machine such as the Fox Alien? Well, absolutely yes. Now, I'd set this up with 2 tiles. If you have a smaller machine, no big deal. Just set it up on 3 tiles, perhaps maybe even 4 tiles. It really doesn't matter. The process is exactly the same. And it's really quite easy using the VCarve Pro. So I hope that you had the opportunity to learn a few things today. If you did, by all means, give me that thumbs up, and don't forget, hit that little subscribe button down there. It really does mean a lot for the channel, and I really appreciate you guys watching this, and I'm trying to share things with you that will teach you to help you with your hobbies in the CNC world, to be able to make it where you can accomplish so much more. And the nice thing about it is, you can sell these signs and make money and pay for your machine. So I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next video. I'm not going to show 7 more of these signs. I think that would be a little bit redundant. So I'll see you in the next video, whatever that happens to be. Bye-bye, everyone.